Right now, there's a massive resurgence for military-style watches. This just goes to show that a lot of people really like that vintage aesthetic. But could this Crusader be too familiar for its own good? Let's find out. This video is brought to you by DM1936. Military-style watches are really the precursors to the modern wristwatch. Many of the popular styles, such as Fliegers and field watches, were direct descendants of these war-proven timepieces. This brings us to the Crusader from DM1936. At first glance, it looks like a distant granddaughter of the Panerai Radiomir, which itself was a Rolex-cased watch. This 42mm case certainly wears big, but that sub 12mm thickness is nice on the wrist. That's because this hand-wound watch doesn't have a rotor that typically adds some heft. On flatter wrists, this becomes a lot more accommodating, but the downward lugs will certainly serve as rounder cuffs as well. From land to air, you can quickly change the look by slapping on an aviator strap. Now this studded band gives a lot more character with its shiny hardware complementing the equally shiny case. Visually, the Crusader's curvy lines and thick lugs can handle thicker straps like these. It's a real bruiser if I ever saw one. But what about thinner fabric straps? If you have one lying around, it's easy to install and equally easy to wear. The impression becomes a little more toolish in nature, which appeals to a lot of people. The case gets more attention on this configuration as well. But busier looking straps like this one may take a little more work to accept. It dresses up the Crusader, which is not a bad idea, but certainly not something that many people may like. I guess you need to pick your battles sometimes, but that's just part of the fun. Now that we've had our fun with these 22mm straps, it's time to get down to the trenches and work this piece up. Winding this movement on this large serrated crown is very pleasing to the touch, with the retention springing back the crown with every snap. Wind that case back up and get countless playtime. Something all you gear nuts can't help but do. This time-only caliber is also easy to use with just one step to the crown to set the time. The running seconds at 6 doesn't hang during operation. Now, let's look closer at the finer details of this Crusader. Under magnification, we can see that the polished finish covers much of the 316L steel surface. The bezel and mineral crystal are reminiscent of the porthole design that's popular for Marine and Navy style watches. This one is emblazoned with the watch's designations. The Crusader glamorizes itself on the sides as all the polished facets engulf this classic crown. This really stands out against that textured leather. This contrast extends to the brushed Panerai-esque buckle that I wished was polished in some way. The Crusader keeps that vintage aesthetics though, even under this strap. This brings us to the display caseback that showcases this machine-finished movement. It's clear that this is not a high-end movement, but it does show a bit more decoration against most mass-produced calibers. The opportunity to see more of the gears in action provides the allure of these mechanical watches. That's the enduring and endearing aspects of these otherwise relics of time. These elements reminds us of vintage watches that may otherwise be out of our reach in more ways than one. But the Crusader mixes this up with its own take in design. This is most prominent on the bezel. Countless timepieces engrave their bezels with numbers for function, but here it's used purely for visual interest. The gilt hands, the tropical dial, and cream indexes are all deliberate choices, most things that you can only get through aging a watch. A process that's not just time-consuming, but oftentimes costs a fortune to own. If you can't afford neither, the Crusader offers this alternative. An alternative that's proficient enough at the task at hand. Retailing at $390, this is as affordable as can be, and you get a gorgeous watch to boot. But we can make it even better with the 20% discount using our channel code designatelieraruba. All caps, because we either go big or go home. But whether you're home or not, the Crusader is a tank of a watch that you can find time to enjoy. A form of entertainment that's not just a passive activity for the eyes, but a manual pleasure that requires some turning. Because that's how we used to do it to get the job done. And picking up watches like this one never gets old. The Crusader is a fun and affordable watch that's built around this package that we all know and love. It also blends some features that makes it stand out into its own unique flavor against all of the other military watches. That's the DM1936 Crusader. As a bonus, it also has this really good travel case.